Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Coach Malebo. I am a trauma-informed life and relationship coach, and over 11 years I have been helping people like you reconnect with themselves, build healthier relationships, and also rewrite their story of money and love. And if that is you, I'm going to leave the link in my description box so that you can select if you can book for coaching or any of my free programs. The exciting news that I have is that I'm launching my 5th book called Guided, and please make sure that on the 8th of August you will be a part of this, big and powerful event. And I've shared it on my social media platforms, and also I have shared it here on YouTube. All right, and if you want to be a part of it, again, that link will literally direct you to everything that I have, my free programs, the book launch, the session that I will also be having on the 8th of August. So today I was supposed to interview my helper, but there are other people who are not really camera friendly, and I've learned from my husband. Oh, is it camera friendly? No, I don't know if it's that word. But anyway, I know that my husband and I started a YouTube channel, but we couldn't proceed with it because my husband doesn't or feels anxious looking at the camera like this and really speaking. Unlike me, I'm natural on it. So my helper had the same thing. She is following me on TikTok, and she's like, yo, the way you have so many followers, now they're going to watch me, they're going to do it. And I was like, okay. Firstly, I thought we were going to speak Sesotho, Setswana, then there I will put English, but now I feel like I'm putting her in a not so nice position, so I thought, let me just do this all by myself. All right. All right, so today I want us to speak about Ngosi, what I was going to cover with her, but let's start from the ages of 3. The time now he is diagnosed. I almost said she. Why? The time between the ages of 3 and 6 is very important, because this time the speech therapist has started with speech therapy, and also we added occupational therapy. But you must know that Nkosi is not speaking at that time, right? At the age of 3, I think it's, at least we started seeing a difference by when he was about to turn 4, or when he had already turned 4, right? But the major issue here was not only speech, but it was meltdowns, which also decreased. Meltdowns are when a child cries hysterically, like you don't even know what to give them. When a child cries, you can give them a bottle, you can give them, but with meltdowns, they can do it for 30 minutes, even more than that, right? But the meltdown also we're becoming better. I remember we had one meltdown just after he had a session with his occupational therapist, but the occupational therapist was there and helped him come out of that quicker than how I would have done it, because she's a professional and she knows it. She knows better than me. Not that I couldn't go sit down, but it was better because she was there, right? But again, during this time, you must know that Nkosi is not fully potty trained. So at school, they have done their part, and Nkosi is not doing number 2 at school. He only does it at home, and due to safety, children who are autistic like safety, they like routine, right? And one of the things was, now that I'm thinking about it, it was safety for him. So number 2, number 1, which is a P, Nkosi will go to the loo, and P is simple, right? But number 2, he was doing it while he was on child's pose. You know child's pose? If you don't know, go to the internet and just check it out. What is child's pose? So he was doing that. It was so difficult for us to put him on top of a toilet seat because he was doing it in that position. And there was a time when we gave him laxative. We are those parents. They used to give us castor oil, but anyway, we didn't give him castor oil, but we gave him what is that one that is chocolatey? Yeah, something like that. And we couldn't now allow him to do that because now the position, and if you have heard laxa, you know that it's just watery there, right? And because he sat on top of the toilet seat, but he was so anxious, he was even shaking, because then we found out that he had a lot of anxieties around the loo, and maybe something had happened, or maybe it was because of just him being an autistic child, because certain things can just trigger anxiety. So how did Nkosi now, did we do with him? I'm sure you guys are asking yourself, when you say he's on a child's pose, how is he doing it? So we were not putting diaper. I think from the age of 4, we were not putting diaper because he could go and do number 1. However, number 2, we knew, and people who have children who are autistic, they know, when that child wants to go and do poop, you can see that they do funny moves, they sort of like, when you are running, something like that. Like they run around, and so we already knew. But again, if you have an autistic child, you will know your child better than any other person. So we knew that when he comes back from school, that is when he is he's in a safe space, and anytime he would want to do it. Sometimes he would do accidents, like he didn't want to be around anyone. I mean, all of us, we are like that. When we want to do number 2, you can't just do number 2 while I know there are people who do that, but I won't do number 2 while my husband is there, right? So there's a trampoline outside, so he will behave like he's playing trampoline, right? But he was not playing trampoline. We would just monitor him and look at him outside. When he sits on a child's pose, we know that he is busy, and then we will go and put a diaper. Sometimes, just to avoid accident, we would just go and put a diaper when he comes back from school, because we know that now he would want to actually release, right? How did we then win this potty training thing? How did we win? I remember it was on the 1st of Jan 2025. That was last year, because he was turning 6 years, and he wanted the diaper. I had seen that he was moving around and looking for a safe space where he can lie down on child's pose and do number 2. And I was like, do you want to do number 2? And he said yes. At the time, now he is able to express himself. He says yes, but still the toilet, it's not his place, right? And he says yes. I was big like this. I was pregnant with Kaya. And again, the pregnancy brains, I had forgotten where I had placed the diaper. So I said to him, I don't know where the diapers are. Can we go to the toilet? And we went to the toilet, and I said, I want you to do it. And when you just close your eyes and say, I can do this. And he closed his eyes and said, I can do this. And he started now, being free, and he started doing his number 2. That is how Nkosi then we won with this number 2 and potty training. So it took 6 years for Nkosi to be fully potty trained. And even in that fully potty trained, when Kaya was born, there was a lot of anxieties, and I have spoken about my journey. But my brother was born after me, and the anxieties and how I felt like I was not loved, those type of things. Nkosi has been a child for 6 years alone in the house, and now there's another child. So those moments were triggering also accidents. And my helper, that is why I wanted to interview her. My helper and myself, we were literally like, we would keep quiet because Daddy didn't like that, but we would keep quiet and just wipe him and make sure that Daddy doesn't see it. You know, men, I mean, men have got their roles in raising children, and my husband is a very good father. I don't get to raise our children all by myself, but they've got their role, right? They are like disciplinarians or something like that. And with us as mothers, we are naturals. We always want to protect our children and all that. That is why there's a need for both, right? The balance for both. So my husband didn't like the fact that Nkosi was doing that, but my helper, that is why I said I have been blessed with a helper who came in when Nkosi, I think, was turning 4, if I'm not mistaken. And my helper, like, literally would do amazing things that I didn't even ask her to do. Firstly, she learned about autism, because when I interviewed her from an agency, she didn't know what autism was. But when we connected her to the internet, and then she started scrolling on YouTube trying to figure out what is autism and all that. And thankfully, with me, I was never going to be able to hire an elderly helper, because Nkosi had been a very active person. You know, he runs, he goes with the bicycle and all that. So imagine my mom trying to do, so it was never going to be a good option for us. As well, it was good because now I had a person who understood technology, and she went on and she started, searching, what is autism, children who are autistic, what is this thing, how do so she informed herself. So when things were like this were happening, she was already informed. I remember that Gosi would do an accident, and by that time I had Kaya, and Kaya was still a baby. And Daddy, we didn't want Daddy to shout at Ngosi, because now he would make things worse. If Daddy sees it, he was thinking that, why are you doing this, man? Stop doing this, you now fine, and Ngosi would just feel sad. So we would cover it up, and thankfully for my helper, she will just do it. Imagine when you come to a house, a 6-year-old is sometimes doing accidents, not like a 2-year-old, not like a 1-year-old, but a 6-year-old is doing those type of things, right? But she had grace for Nkosi. And the reason again that I wanted to interview her is because she said she thought autism is something that has to do with broken bones. She thought that she was going to come to a physically disabled child, but then when she got here, she didn't understand what is autism. But later on, then she could get it, that there's a difference in this, how this child is behaving, and because the child is not speaking as so those are the things that I wanted her to cover up. But I'm grateful that she did that, and I had experienced the love that she has for our children. And even Gosi knows that this person had been there for me. So that's between the ages of 3 and 6. Only at 6 we were like with potty training. Now let's get to the new age, 7. Some children start school, grade 1 at 6 years. But with us, the occupational therapist and the educational psychologist and everybody said, nope, don't take Nkosi when he is when he is 6. Make sure that he will be 7. And the best thing that we have ever done for him. But let me tell you something. I've never been stressed like this in my life when Nkosi started school. I've never been stressed like this. My husband has never been stressed like this. The first time of Nkosi being at school, we thought, did we do the right thing? When I applied at the school, I indicated that Nkosi is autistic, and I don't know if they looked at it or what. And yeah, the first week we were called to the school. Nkosi is not talking to anyone. He's not disruptive. The teachers were saying he's not disruptive, but he's not doing anything. He literally just sits. He will listen to you, but when you say write, Nkosi will never write. Now I needed to enforce my teaching. Some of you know that I've always been teaching Nkosi how to read, how to write. I've always been very active in that part of his life. Also making it up that if he misses something at school, at least I will be there to help him, because with me, he's used to me, right? Now, Nkosi, you could see that Nkosi was not getting some of the things. And last time at the hike, I was telling these ladies that I used to show Nkosi, like, you know how you teach them mathematics, for an example. So I would say to Nkosi, look, how many things are here? It's one, right? This is an item, it's one. And then I would even write numbers on top of those items. And then I would say one again on the other item. Then I would say, then 1 plus 1 equals to what? Then I would combine the two items. Ngosi will say 9. Yo, you know, so the first term of the school was not easy for us as parents, and for him as well, because it just looked like he was lost. And then I thought, I even told myself that maybe for the first term, because he's not going to do well, but we're hoping that the second term he will be right. And thankfully for our occupational therapist, she went to the school, and she went to teach the, you know, not teach, but to help the teachers understand that side, you know, because the teachers were like, we don't know now what to do, you know. And the occupational therapist went to the school, taught them or shared with them that Nkosi needs a regulation. If there is anything with autistic children, it's a regulation. They need to be regulated. If they are not regulated, you will see them just you know, being up and down or just not doing anything. With Nkosi, he's not hyperactive at school. What he is just he would be inactive, like it's like he shuts down, right? So the occupational therapist went to the school, did what she was supposed to do. The teachers were like, we good, and you know, we started having a good relationship with teachers. And I'm telling you today, my happiest moment is that not so long ago, Nkosi said, I now know my numbers. He was singing, and then he said, I now know my numbers. 1 plus 1 is 2. And I was like, yes. And then what about 2 plus 2? Then he said, 2 plus 2 is 4. And then I was like, okay, what about 3 plus 3? Then he started counting his fingers and saying, 3 plus 3 is 6. And then I was like, okay. Then we went on, and I could see that this term, the second term, he is doing absolutely well. And I'm so grateful that on the first term, even though, yes, we had all of that, you know, where he was not writing, but then the teachers understood him. And there's a teacher who said, no, you know, with me, I saw that Nkosi would write everything in the board. So I have a smaller board for him. I would write for him, and then he would look at that board, and I would get actually a better correspondence than when he's looking at the bigger board, right? And they started working with him, and he passed with term 1, he passed with flying colors. And I can see now at the school they changed them or how they do it, how they teach, right? The approach in which they teach, which this is something that had been my dream. You know, they teach children differently, so they move from one group to the other. The ones who are learning by hearing, they get that. The ones who are learning by touching, they get that. The ones who are learning by technology, they get. All of the children get to do that. So at this moment, we are waiting for the report it's not a report but an assessment to saying this is how far, because they have changed their curriculum this term. So they want to show us how far is our child. But I'm also hoping for the better, because he could do better that time. What about now? So at school, we are fine. Nkosi now is speaking. We do affirmations with him. He's playing with children better than the other time. You know, he is gelling with children. He's got friends. He's no longer sad. There was a time when he was like, Mommy, I'm sad. I don't want to go to the school. But now he is better, and I thank God for that. And I thank God for bringing my helper as well, who's helping me with him. Because what did you learn at school today?
I learned Kiapina.
Giapila.
Kiapina. I'm powerful, abundant, and unique and special. I love myself the way I am.